I pulled the car over, my vision blurred by tears and the neon sign of a cheap motel. I'd just lost my apartment and ended a messy relationship. I typed a frantic message to my mother. "Patricia, I'm coming home. Need a few weeks to get back on my feet. Please." The reply buzzed instantly, a bright, cruel spark on the dark screen. "Don't bother coming home. Brooke needs the guest room for her yoga studio." I stared at the words. Not a phone call, not a single question about my well-being, just a brutal dismissal. I gripped the steering wheel, my knuckles stark white against the dark leather. My breathing hitched, a gasping sound that felt small and pathetic. My eyes burned, but the tears stopped. The shock was too severe. Brooke's fleeting, ridiculous yoga side hustle was more important than my entire life falling apart. What the hell just happened to her? My name is Willow Hayes. I'm 30. I'm an architect who specialized in complex, high-value renovations. I was the responsible one, the one who left home to build a real career, yet I was always the overlooked, unloved daughter. That text was the final proof. They didn't want the responsible daughter, they wanted the easy one, the one who stayed close, the one who needed saving. I realized right then that my worth to them was entirely tied to my distance. Flashback to my childhood. Every school project, every good grade, every scholarship I earned was met with mild interest. But Brooke's every whim, from failed art degrees to dubious business plans, was subsidized and celebrated. My independence was seen as an abandonment. A year ago, I'd offered to pay off a chunk of their mortgage. They had refused, saying they didn't need my money. Yet 6 months later, they quietly cashed out a chunk of their retirement savings to fund Brooke's short-lived goat yoga retreat startup. I found a cheap motel room. Huddled under the thin blanket, I scrolled through local listings. My gaze fell on a familiar house, the Fairweather Victorian, right next door to my parents'. It was beautiful, derelict, and my mother had obsessed over owning it for decades. Lying there, truly alone, the crushing sense of failure hit. I felt worthless, rejected by the only home I'd ever known. Maybe if I hadn't been so independent, maybe if I'd stayed and been weak, they would have loved me more. My closest friend, Eliza, a corporate lawyer, drove 5 hours that night. She brought coffee and her laptop. She didn't offer pity, only action. "You're a genius with structure, Willow. Focus on rebuilding. Start with your finances." I called my father Frank. His voice was cold. "You need to understand, Willow. Brooke is settled here. We can't disrupt her. He didn't defend me. He justified the cruelty." The betrayal was complete and affirmed by both parents. I looked at the Fairweather listing again. I had significant personal savings from years of careful work. The house was a wreck, priced low, but it had incredible bones, my specialty. The pain condensed into one cold, strategic thought: they don't want me home? Fine, I will own the land they covet. I didn't call a local agent. I called a commercial real estate lawyer hundreds of miles away. I instructed her to set up a holding company, Willow Architectural Holdings, LLC. I moved with the precision I used for my largest projects. I submitted a cash offer on the Fairweather house, contingent on an immediate closing and no inspection, a developer's move. The sellers jumped on it. My architectural vision and my savings were now weaponized. The sale closed 2 weeks later, entirely under the LLC. I drove past my parents' house, pulling up to the overgrown driveway next door. My mother was pruning roses, completely unaware. I got out, walked to the porch, and took the keys out of my pocket. I looked at the house. I was home. And then a massive, noisy demolition crew truck rounded the corner. 3 months later. The demolition was loud, constant, and legally sanctioned. I oversaw everything remotely. My parents complained to the city weekly. The city, reading the permits, simply forwarded their complaints to the property owner, Willow Architectural Holdings, LLC. 1 year later, the house was rising from the rubble, a stunning, uncompromisingly modern structure that was twice the size of my parents' colonial. Brooke complained on social media about the glorified glass monstrosity blocking her light. Brooke's yoga studio failed. I heard through Aunt B that she'd convinced Patricia to take out a reverse mortgage on the house to fund a new, doomed consulting venture. They were financially stressed and leveraged to the hilt. My mother, furious about the noise and the contrasting architecture, tried to confront the project manager. She demanded to speak to the owner. The manager gave her the LLC card and politely told her to contact the legal representative, Mr. Jenkins. I learned through a quiet title search that my parents had put their house on the market, hoping to downsize and cover Brooke's debts. But the massive, ongoing construction next door was actively killing their real estate showings. I sent a formal legal notice to their realtor. Per local zoning, I was notifying them that construction would be intensifying, including the installation of a new, high-privacy 8-foot fence exactly on the property line, blocking the sun from their patio. The realtor, desperate to salvage the listing, researched the LLC owner. The public record led straight to the architect who signed the permits, Willow Hayes. The realtor immediately called Patricia, frantic. I drove up to the construction site on the day the fence went up. My mother and father were waiting. Patricia's face was pale. "It's you," she whispered, the realization finally breaking through. "You bought the Fairweather house." I took off my hard hat, meeting her eyes. "I needed a place to live, Mom. I called home. You chose a yoga studio. I bought a new home." She started to beg, tears finally coming. "Willow, we have to sell. Please stop the fence." I cut her off. "This is my property, Mom, and this is my boundary." My parents were forced to drastically drop the sale price of their house. The construction noise and the imposing new fence next door made it undesirable. They sold the house for significantly less than they needed, their entire financial future crippled by Brooke's debt and their own arrogance. I sat on my new, vast, sun-drenched deck. I watched the moving trucks haul away the last of their furniture. I felt no savage joy, only the immense quiet relief of having built my own sanctuary, completely free from their conditional love. I never gave them my new address. I kept the house, thriving in the space they coveted. My internal monologue, they texted me I wasn't welcome home, so I built a bigger, better one right next door. The price they paid wasn't for the house, it was for choosing favoritism over their own daughter's worth.